My name is Rosemary Thomas, and I've been a pediatrician for just under 25 years. And I'm a curator and dispenser of distilled wisdom. I solve parents' concern about their ability to create the best future for their children, while at the same time addressing the children's problems in health and learning. You might ask, what is distilled wisdom and where does it come from? Distilled wisdom comes from my unique story and life experience. I was born in Canada of West Indian parents and grew up in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm the parent with ups and downs of two emerging adults. I love art and literature and life sciences. I love dance, and my ideal vacation is a dancing cruise somewhere in the Caribbean or the Mediterranean. I love movie stories, and my favorite is Sound of Music. Really cheesy, right? I'm also a curator of joyful and thoughtful spaces, and I have started a second business out of this passion. My unique story is about discovering these inputs that were refined over time to produce distilled wisdom, the gifts that only I can bring to my practice and businesses. So, my entrepreneurial journey began about 25 years ago. I was the on-call pediatric resident at Jackson Memorial, waiting for admissions to the wards in the upper floor computer room in the wee hours of the morning. There were two really old computers and an antiquated book on practice management. I had only this and my imagination, dreaming of what practice would be like in Trinidad and Tobago on my return. How would I merge the art, imagination, and creativity to the science of medicine? What would I bring to the future, the frontier of pediatric preventative care? These were the germinating seeds for my gifts. Fast forward a couple of years, I was now an attending at the Children's Hospital. I had arrived. However, there was something missing, perhaps the art to the science. And a few years later, I left a 25% salary increase to start La Jolla Pediatrics, which was my first solo practice. Everyone thought I was crazy, but I wanted to practice medicine on my own terms. No more on-call. Free time to pursue my passion for curating and designing spaces, including my own practice. So, over the next 10 years, I was building private practice and inserting my story. I developed a fairly solid pediatric practice with my first message, which was getting to know my patients at the crossroads of development with imagination and play as the foundation. 10 years onwards, there was another major shift. I bought an old building and moved and rebranded as the medical home of Frontier Kids Care. I was fine-tuning the story, and I got to know and embrace my purpose and my unique story, my Rosemary-ness, as a patient told me recently. I rewrote the message to reflect parents and children unlocking their full potential by opening gifts and unlocking doors. I realized that there were gaps that prevented me from scaling. Lack of financial reward, too many layers like a cake, no focused strategy, and an unfortunate dislike for delegation. I became again a perpetual student. I took financial courses and coaching to fill the gaps in knowledge to serve better. My small team and I embraced technology, and I continued to work on creating systems and a legacy. Well, along came March 2020 and the fight to survive and thrive. COVID-19 manifested. Just when things were looking up, revenue plunged to a half or 2/3 at best. I fought to keep Frontier Kids Care relevant for this new season. I accidentally found Dr. Una and her podcast, from a pediatric forum. I joined Automobile University STAT. I listened to every single episode, nervously but excitedly because of the challenges, or perhaps in spite of. I joined EntreMD Business School. You want to hear what happened in 3 months? Here's what happened in 3 months. I joined an amazing group of physicians who were doing remarkable things. I received much needed coaching. Then I started asking parents what problem I solved and what their pain points were. I went back to the beginning. You guys remember Sound of Music? Let's start from the very beginning. My message. I set goals, especially financial, my own pain point. Ouch! I held myself accountable. I embraced new technologies like Facebook Live. I started telehealth as my new vertical revenue platform. I struggled, resisting the urge of comparitis and imposter syndrome. I sometimes felt overwhelmed after the live coaching calls. I really now had, wait out for this, I really felt my 6-day oneness. But I recall the words of Shakespeare, "To thine own self be true." And I went back to my own purpose. So when I feel stressed out, I embrace the following story to relax. So like 4 years ago I was in New Orleans at an American Academy of Pediatric meeting. And I encountered this very distinguished gentleman who had a badge saying 40 years a member. And I was like, 40 years? I went up to him and I said, "How do you do that?" And he said to me, "Just take life easy," in his best New Orleans twang. So I started selling my practice by taking advantage of opportunities right in front of me. My earrings aha moment came about 2 weeks ago. So at Frontier Kids Care, we do earrings. Parents ask, we never sell. A week ago, I sold by telling what I do, and there was an immediate yes. I continue to practice all the new skills to prepare for the pivot. So earlier this year, before COVID, I was practicing for my Walls International exams, and I caught my nenen, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago, to pivot. I just couldn't do it. And I practiced and practiced and practiced, and then one day, all of a sudden, I pivoted. Well, I'm here to tell you my October 2020 pivotal moment arrived. Frontier Kids Care achieved and surpassed our projected financial goal. There was a 40% increase in revenue in the middle of a national lockdown, all because I started to sell distilled wisdom in my practice. I was dancing on my way to becoming the doctor, the business, the empire. Thank you, Dr. Una. Thank you, EntreMD Business School. So here's my number one business tip. Know and own your story. Show up authentically, bringing us gifts as only you can to serve and earn, because your unique message will resonate and touch or heal your ideal client's pain. I really hope you enjoyed listening as much as I enjoyed sharing my entrepreneurial journey with you. I invite you to take a tour of an authentic Caribbean pediatric medical home and check out our distilled wisdom on Frontier Kids Care website. Join and like us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want me to share my unique story on your platform, contact me. I'd love to. I'm going to leave you with 3 imagine ifs. Imagine if you were just starting a practice and you dared to dream or imagine how to share your authentic story, your gifts to your ideal client. You would be amazing. Imagine if you were in a practice that was not rewarding you fully for the problem you solve. Imagine if you pivoted by coaching, joining a supportive environment, and added a lot of determination, and learned how to sell your business, you would score. Imagine if you created a successful practice but wanted to scale and leave a legacy. What would I say to you? I would say fine-tune your authentic story. It evolves with you and the passage of time. Go back to the foundation, the beginning, your message. Fine-tune to meet your ideal client's needs for the present season. No comparitis, don't be overwhelmed. And remember, life has its ups and downs. Scale the hills when you can, and then just take life easy. Thank you very much and take care.